In 2017, foreign military hackers broke into Equifax and walked away with the personal information of 148 million Americans. That is nearly half the population of the United States. The hackers took the specific data used to build a person's identity: names, dates of birth, social security numbers, and driver's license details. People were furious. Millions of consumers had their credit put at severe risk, and the immediate public demand was for corporate executives to face personal consequences for the disaster. But the government's response stalled. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau shut down its investigation. Under Acting Director Mick Mulvaney, the Bureau ended plans to test Equifax's security systems and failed to seek sworn testimony from its executives. This lack of accountability left everyday people with a cynical question. When a corporation loses the data of 148 million people, can the executives at the top actually be held responsible? For decades, those executives have relied on a legal shield called the business judgment rule. Across jurisdictions, from the US to Japan to Indonesia, this rule protects directors from liability, provided they act with good faith, loyalty, and a reasonable duty of care. The rule is designed to encourage directors to take rational business risks. If a new strategy fails or a stock price dips, executives shouldn't have to fear a personal lawsuit, as long as they acted cautiously and in the company's interest. But a massive data breach tests the limits of that protection. Is a board's failure to update security systems a calculated business risk, or is it a direct violation of their duty of care? Courts in Japan and the US have traditionally looked for rational decisions. As long as there was no fraud, conflict of interest, or deliberate mistake, the directors were generally safe from the fallout of a hack. This gray area created a fiduciary firewall. When a breach occurred, executives could pass the blame to the IT department while arguing their own actions were legally protected. Regulators are now moving to end this ambiguity by setting specific standards for what constitutes good faith. In Indonesia, the nation's Financial Services Authority, known as OJK, has moved to codify these expectations. In 2022, they issued Circular No. 29, which mandates strict, measurable baseline standards for cyber resilience and security for commercial banks. This creates a direct path to liability. If a bank fails to meet these specific technical benchmarks, directors can no longer hide behind the business judgment rule to claim they exercised their duty of care. OJK's standards make cybersecurity a matter of strict legal compliance. By setting these baselines, regulators are holding the C-suite personally responsible for technical negligence. Corporate shareholders are already acting on these new expectations, clearing house before the government even steps into a courtroom. Look at Bank Syariah Indonesia, or BSI. In 2023, the bank began a restructuring, driven by an urgent need to strengthen its digital transformation and its internal security culture. The shareholder meeting resulted in the immediate firing of both the Director of Information Technology and the Director of Risk Management. When technical systems fail, the people in the boardroom are now the ones being replaced. Accountability for data security has moved from the server room to the highest level of the corporate ladder. The landscape is changing rapidly. Following the stalled Equifax probe, a settlement eventually reached $575 million, allowing millions of Americans to file claims for time and money lost to the breach. Regulatory expectations are tightening globally. While Indonesia has formalized standards into law, courts in the US and Japan are increasingly scrutinizing whether a board's rational decisions actually accounted for modern cyber risks. Technical ignorance is no longer a valid legal defense for a corporate director. If a company holds user data, the people at the very top are legally bound to protect it. If the digital perimeter fails and basic standards weren't met, the directors are now directly liable for the damage.